Our equipment is now up and running, and it's exciting to be able to play with this equipment and be able to see the connections that are happening, see the communication that's going back and forth. I just think it's so cool how we can connect these different devices and get them communicating. I think it's a fun experience to be able to work on the equipment. And so but one thing I want to drive home is that if you notice that I take a very organized approach in the way I do things, from my documentation to implementing changes on the network. And that's because I've seen where it's been done wrong before, and I myself have done it wrong before. So I want to impress upon you, learn from my experience. Do things in an organized way. Make sure you approach things logically as you roll them out. Make sure you're not so cluttered with the way you approach things, and don't approach things from a chaotic standpoint. And so really what this comes in is not only from my own experience, but watching others. And I just find that those who have a disorganized desk and they have disorganized files tend to make mistakes on the equipment because they approach things from a disorganized manner. So generally speaking, I find those who are more organized and approach things very carefully tend to do better because they are careful with the equipment, and they realize if they make the wrong mistake, they'll bring the network down. And unfortunately, I'll tell you, at some point in time, you will bring equipment down. So even being safe and taking things really cautiously will still end up in mistakes. We just want to minimize how many mistakes we make. And one thing that I have drove home is that we do need documentation, and it needs to be organized. And if you notice the way I manage my documentation, it doesn't take a lot of time. It was just a couple steps to do, and it documents itself. And we see that here in the config file. I open this up and I see all my config files are really nice and organized. I've got the name of the server right there at the beginning. I've got the dates in there. So this helps me. If I wanted to say date modified, I can see what my most recent changes are, and I can see what my most recent configs are. Or if I'm trying to look at what it is for the specific piece of equipment, I can organize by name here. And I see that here are all my headquarters S1. So I can have a track record of everything that's happening throughout time. So it really doesn't matter what how you name these files or how you capture them. But the point is be thoughtful with how you do it. So come up with a way that you name it. You can use the way I name these, or you can come up with your own, or the way you document and track this. Come up with the best way that works for you. This is what I find works for me, but don't negate it. Don't neglect it. Make sure it's part of your process, and it's going to save you a lot of headaches, because let me tell you, that time that you wipe out the configurations on a piece of equipment and you lose the configurations, you're going to be really glad that you have a backup and you kept really accurate records of what happened on those devices. You don't always need it. Hopefully you don't need it very often, but there are times when it can really save you. So make sure, once again, that you just take an organized approach to things and you're very thoughtful with how you roll this stuff out. So thanks. It's cool that we've got this network now, that it's up and running. I'm excited to start really digging into the next lessons and figuring out what else we can do with the equipment. What we've done right here in this module is kind of done the basics, and now we're going to take it to the next level. So before you're ready to take those next steps into the next level, make sure you've got this stuff down the way it is right now, because we're going to build on it, and it's just going to keep building on it. So make sure you understand it as we progress through the rest of these videos and through the rest of the modules.